Hello there. Hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time of the day it is. You can see it's dark here, so it's kind of coming towards the evening. I'm joined by She's over there. By Jocelyn. How you doing,
Hi,
Jocelyn?
I'm good. It's morning here where I am.
Yeah. Oh, I wish it was morning here. I've squandered the day, but nevertheless, this will be a productive. Well, it might be an hour. It might be shorter. Let's see how it goes. But Jocelyn is here joining us from Bluehost. Jocelyn is the senior product manager of WordPress commerce at Bluehost. She's got over 10 years' experience in the web hosting industry. She led the development of WonderCart, which allows merchants to create promotions and deals, then to launch them on a schedule in their store in just a few clicks. But we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about something literally hot off the press. It's going to be exciting. It's called WonderHelp. And as you might imagine, it helps. So we're going to see how that works today. Just a few bits of housekeeping, if that's all right, Jocelyn, just
Of
before we
course.
crack into the demo. If you are joining us and you wish to make a comment, that would be lovely. Please feel free to do that. The best place to do that, depending on where you're joining us, would probably be our live page. It's wpbuilds.com/live. If you go over there, and please send people there, go onto your social media and instruct them with all speed to go to wpbuilds.com/live. You need to be logged into Google because there's YouTube comments over there, or you can use the little black box in the corner. It says live chat or something. You can use that. If you are joining us from Facebook, you have to allow the platform access. Head to wave.video/lives/Facebook and authorize us over there. And if you do leave a comment or a question, I will put that in front of Jocelyn at the appropriate moment. So yeah, Jocelyn, do you want to just introduce yourself once more? I know you've been here in the past, but I know I gave you a quick bio. Is there anything you want to say before we crack into it?
No, I mean, you covered a lot of it. I've been at Bluehost for going on 11 years here in the
Nice.
next month or two. And it's been very exciting, especially transitioning into the WordPress world, which I have not always focused on at
Ah,
Bluehost. It's been in the last couple of years that I've really dived into this aspect of it. And so it's been really exciting to be able to not only go to all the different WordCamps. I was in Asia last year or
oh,
this year. That
nice.
was this year, and was in Athens and went to WordCamp US. And I just got an email that I will be speaking at WordCamp Asia in Taiwan in March. So
You're
I'm
doing the
super
rounds.
excited
That's
about
quite
that.
a laundry list of events. That's fabulous. How
Yeah.
lucky you are. That's great.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be able, very honored to be able to speak there and to see everybody again.
Yeah, I've yet to meet somebody who went to WordCamp Asia who didn't think it was something remarkable.
Oh,
There
it
was
was
something
incredible.
in the water on that
Yeah.
event,
Yeah.
which hopefully it'll be repeated in Taipei. I was going to say this year, but it's not. It's in 2024. It's coming up
Yep.
soon. But we're going to talk about Wonder Help today. Before I
Yep.
share the screen, do you want to just give us a little preamble into what its purpose is and how it fits into the bigger product offering over at Bluehost?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing with WonderHelp is it's an AI powered tool that's embedded into WP Admin.
Hmm.
One of when we do our customer feedback and outreach and both inbound customer research, one of the biggest things that we hear from customers repeatedly is, where do I find help? I can't find help. Where do I? It's really difficult. And I will say there is so much documentation out there about WordPress, um, but that can be overwhelming itself. And it's not really easy to find help within WordPress unless you really know where to look. And a lot of the customers that we have, coming through, we have a lot of novice customers, first time builders, and we wanted to be able to provide them something that was right there at their fingertips. So they're not, switching back and forth, going to find other resources. Because one thing it's with the documentation out there, as I'm sure you're aware of, it also depends on the theme that you're using and the version of WordPress you're running and the plugins that you have installed and activated. And, every once in a while, I recently talked to a customer that went through, there was like an hour and a half long video on Elementor, and they're looking, they watched it, but they weren't doing side by side. And they go back and they're like, I didn't see any of it. Well, they didn't have Elementor installed and they
Oh
didn't know
no!
it.
Oh,
And
good grief!
they
Oh,
thought that they were just learning WordPress.
oh.
And they're like, this is not what I was learning. And so there's so much documentation out there, and I think that there is so much, I say jargon, but not in a bad way, but there's so many names, so many words, so many things that are so new for people that it can be quite overwhelming, I think.
Yeah, I had no. I mean, just I'm immersed in WordPress, so those kind of errors like that's Elementor, this is not a video you should be watching. That's self-evident to me because I
Right.
am immersed in it. But yeah, if I was to put somebody in my family who's got no familiarity with WordPress, that's true. I hadn't
Yeah.
thought about that.
Yep.
So the idea is you're going to bolt something into sites launched on Bluehost, which will enable you to, I guess, like short circuit the Google experience. You won't have to go out and look for quite so much stuff. A lot of it's going to be baked into the admin itself. Yeah.
Yep. That's the goal. And,
Okay.
and I think also along with that too, there's so many different step by step, things. And what if somebody hasn't updated their tutorials in 5 years with how much things have changed, and
Yep.
things get outdated. They can get outdated quite frequently, and so our goal is to really have some quality content that is available at their fingertips. They can ask questions, and
Okay.
yeah, just
Yep.
right there.
So you mentioned AI, but you also mentioned quality content. Have
Yes.
you? How does that work? How do those two things go together? Because when I hear content, I always think a human wrote that. Well, that's at least my intuition. Whereas when I hear AI, I think a robot scraped that and then cobbled together something that approximates content. Is this human-made content that the AI is then surfacing? Maybe you're going to show us this. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So it's actually all originally generated by AI. So if a user goes and they type in a query, then it's generated by AI. If there is not a good match, we'll say, hey, we don't have a match for this. And we're able to see all of the responses, the questions that we get that is shown to the users, and also see that there's no content for some of them.
Okay, so
And
you get those heuristics back, and you can fill in the gaps of the. Oh, that's neat. Yeah.
right, because some of the things can be difficult to scrape the answers. Like people ask very specific things that sometimes it's
Yeah.
like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to fill in the blanks. Or again, it might be scraping outdated content that's like just not quite right anymore. So we also have feedback that we're getting from customers that's like, was this helpful? Yes or no? And for the ones that they're saying, no, it wasn't helpful, we can go and say, okay, why wasn't that helpful? How can we make it better? Or how can we train the model to surface better answers based on the responses that we're seeing?
You may wish to answer this. You may not. It's entirely up to you. But is the LLM, the language model, is it like a what's the right word? Is it a siloed model? So in other words, is it just trained on a certain subset of data? So I don't know, the Bluehost data, or maybe the WordPress codex, or something like that, or is it just going straight into GPT, Chat GPT, or something like that, and pulling answers back out?
Yeah, so there's a combination of all of the above. We've been able to provide it with some of our help, our resources on our blog or
Yeah.
our knowledge base, with the WordPress codex, and then some of it too, depending on the question that they ask, it goes to the standard GPT questions.
Okay, got it.
So,
And one final thing before we share the
yeah,
screen. I'm guessing, and I don't really have any knowledge as to whether this is true or not, but I keep hearing this fact that for a hosting company, one of the biggest things which is problematic as a hosting company is churn. Just the
yeah,
idea that lots of people sign up and they get confused and they disappear and you never hear from them again. So I suppose this solution is a double-edged sword. It's helping the users because they get quick access to things that they need to find the answer to. But also, I'm guessing it helps you because as a hosting company, if you can provide that solution, which is right there at the time that they need it, that churn rate hopefully will, start to creep south.
right, right, yep. One of our biggest goals with that, as well as like helping customers publish early, right? I think that we see the customers who have success early on, they're able to get their site out to the world. I feel like they're far more motivated to continue
Yeah.
than being frustrated in those first couple of weeks when it can be so difficult and overwhelming for them to publish.
If you're interested in the content that you're seeing today, this is one of 4 parts, he said, holding, yep, Well done, Nathan. You got the finger number right. 4-part series. This is the fourth of 4. You can find those over at wpbuilds.com/demos/archive. So demos archive with a hyphen in between. And over there, you're going to find information about Wonder Cart, Wonder Suite in general, and well, obviously this one, WonderHelp. What was the other one that we did? I've
There's
forgotten.
Wonder Start and Wonder Blocks.
Wonder Blocks.
Chris is the one that demoed those.
Yeah, so all that information about what Bluehost have got to offer. So I guess it's time. If you're happy, shall I share your screen and we'll get on with the demo of what it can do?
I'm very happy. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All righty.
So I'm starting here. I know that Chris walked through. This is Wonder Start that he walked through a couple weeks ago. But what I wanted to call out here, as it relates to WonderHelp, and I think that in your podcast that you did with Jason, he repeated the theme again and again, is that we wanted the Wondersuite to be very integrated with one another and have a lot of handoff and be very intelligent with the answers that the customers provided, from Wonder Start to blocks to being in their dashboard. So when I go through my setup here, one of the first questions we ask is the customer's experience level. And so for users that say are novice and they said, I've never used it some, I'm an expert, the WonderHelp can change dynamically the behavior that it has by default based on this answer.
Right.
So for the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say I've never used it and continue the setup. And we're not going to go all the way through the onboarding. But for this, I've got my arts and crafts store. And I'm kind of skipping through all this just so I can.
That's okay. But what you've just done is go through the onboarding process, but skipped it so that you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to show, but we don't need to go through the, color palette selection. So the biggest point is that I, said that I've never used it. I'm a novice. I'm going to complete my setup. And you'll see over here, we have this help center that's open by default for a novice user. So this here on the right side is the WonderHelp.
So that panel there is WonderHelp, which is invoked from the little toggle in the admin bar at the top. Got it.
Yep.
Right
there.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So for the novice users, as we know, there's so many options that you see across. And I think oftentimes people can get easily blinded by what some of these icons are. They may not be clicking into everything. And so really the goal is to have it be very obvious that it is here. They can ask the help questions. And over here, these are some of the trending or popular questions that have been asked. And so customers can click into those, or they can come in here and freeform type any question that they have on getting set up. And so what's nice about it is I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, it helps if I click into the actual form. I add a user. So you can see I've asked that before. And so what's this doing is this is contacting the AI services it's searching. And the way that we can keep costs down is that once a question's been asked, we don't need to reach back out to AI again. We store that answer. And so we're not generating it from AI again. And we can resurface the questions that we already have cached and stored. And this is where we can come through and we can, as employees, as product owners, as product managers, as developers, we can validate the responses that we're seeing. And so
so there's like this iterative process in the background, like for you as employees of Bluehost, you're checking this stuff. So if that gets surfaced by the AI and it's served up to somebody, maybe or maybe not, I don't know if it's 100% of the time, but at some point a human will cast their eye over it and say, actually, that is it. That's a good answer.
Yep.
And okay.
Yep.
Then it gets cached and reused. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then if the same thing is here, did this result help you? Yes or no? We store that value if it was helpful or not helpful. Yep. And the ones that aren't, we can go through and we can say, why wasn't this helpful? And it could be a combination of things. It could be that maybe it was a very generic and vague response. It could be that the question didn't have the right question. I don't know how to say it, like that
Yeah, I
there
know what
wasn't
you mean.
enough
Yeah, yeah,
context for it
yeah.
to, serve the right question.
Well, so
Sometimes
as an
users don't even know what
example,
they're asking.
right, you might not even know that a person in WordPress is called user, as an example. You just get
Right.
the wrong nomenclature and you say, I don't know, how do I add a customer or something like that? And you get sent off in a different direction. I'm noticing
Right.
it's bullet pointed, which is good for my brain because, like, I can see I've got 7 things to do, and each of those bullet points is really trivially small. It's like 10 words per bullet point. Does
Yes.
that follow me around? Does that modal stay open as I go along, or do I have to
Yes.
copy? Oh,
Yes.
nice. Yeah,
So
nice.
what's awesome. So I'm like, okay, so from the WordPress in the left-hand menu, click add new,
Okay.
well, we'll click users first. And you still
There it
have
is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
the steps. And that's one of the things is that we wanted it to be persistent because I think part of the trick could be that if it's not persistent, then you have to go, okay, what did I search again?
Oh, yeah.
Right. If it's not like your last thing, if it's closed by default and then it's not stored. So it does follow you around until the user closes it out. So it'll stay here. It doesn't matter if I could go to media and
Yeah,
it's still going to be
there it
like, but
is.
this is what you asked about. So here's your steps.
Yeah.
So it'll still stay there until the user closes out of it. It also, oops, wrong thing. It also stays persistent here as well, or was supposed to.
Oh, it's okay. But the
But
intention is
my
this
question,
is
the intention is that
yeah,
it would.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I always have to say this because things always go wrong in demos. It's just a guarantee,
Always.
always. But this is this is a really, really, really new thing, right? So we
Yeah.
forgive the non-persistence because it's brand new. That
Yeah, I
gets
would say it's very much in a beta stage where we're trying to
okay.
validate the usefulness of it, right?
Yeah,
Before we, you want to kind of balance all the features and everything that you add against the value that we're delivering. And really our goal here is to have quality content and not just be like, oh, it's powered by AI and who knows what it's going to tell you, like
yeah.
the answers that you're going to get that are wacky. And so there's been a lot of monitoring of the responses. And we look at the statistics that we see week over week of here are the themes, here are the frequently asked questions, and we kind of go understand what customers are searching for, and we also can tie that back to their experience level as well. So what are advanced users searching for, what are novice users searching for, and intermediate? And so then that way we can kind of help to curate some of that content as well, and to make sure that the model's trained for some of the more advanced questions for the advanced users that might be more, maybe they're seeing errors in PHP or, custom CSS type of questions that they're wondering how to do. So we can just make sure that that content is there and generated for them.
I do like the idea that it's curated ultimately by a human being that gets to look at the response and then cast their eye over it, because really the last thing you want is, well, especially if you're a novice, if you're professional and you're just looking for a tweak to something, you've probably got an intuition as to whether it's serving up some hallucination or not. But if you're a
Right.
novice and it just gives you something wrong, you're just making the churn worse because
Yes.
because it's not doing what it says it's supposed to do. And so I appreciate the fact that it is human curated, and I think that's great. And I know for a fact, because we had to reorganize the episodes, that there was some tweaking going on in the last week to sort of firm things up and make the responses a lot more solid and reliable. So anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm blathering on as I always do. You carry on. I apologize.
No, you're okay. I think that that's one of the things that we are like really proud of though with it, is because it's not just out there in the wild, and it's something that we can monitor and we can say, hey, wait, that wasn't right. Like, let's make sure we get it right. And with that, you've said that it's brand new, which it is very, very brand new. There's been tweaks, but we've had it in kind of a beta stage. We had it available for a subset of customers for a while, just to kind of see what the
Okay.
product adoption could be.
Okay.
But since our launch of it and today, we've been able to double the satisfaction of the results and the responses that the model has provided by monitoring and by providing that feedback.
Dare
So
I
when we,
ask, and again, you may not have the data, how does it compare in satisfaction to a human?
I don't know.
No, because I've heard I've heard that in other parts of the world, nothing to do with the WordPress industry, companies that have implemented a similar thing inside their, who knows, SaaS app or whatever it may be, they're experiencing, in many cases, comparable levels of satisfaction with the
Yeah.
AI as they are with the human. And, that, I guess, depending on which side of the coin you're on, if you're a support operative, it's maybe not a good thing, but if you're an end user, it probably is a good thing. So anyway, there you go.
I just don't know that we've had it be out live long enough
Mm.
to have that data yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that as of now, with it still like kind of in my mind, and it's not, it's in production, it's there. It's when people sign up, it's there, but definitely it's in its very like beginning stages of where we're going with it. So I think that there's probably still a ton of room for improvement on the satisfaction, but I don't have that data.
No, it's fine. It's
That's
fine.
really
Can I
where
ask another question? I am so. We're never going to get to the end of this. I
okay.
have a question about. Let's say that I'm a freelancer and I build
Mm-hmm.
websites for other people for a living. Can I, with the package that you offer, can I enable this for a different user role? So, say for example, I don't know, maybe they've got the editor role or something like that, or subscriber or something. My client, that is, who's taking over the maintenance of the website. Can they see that as well?
I think right now it's set for the admin role
Admin only.
only,
Okay, right.
um, because that's what the plugin is set to as default, the Bluehost plugin, right? Because it's deployed as part of that.
Okay.
But it is something that I think that like in the future that I think would be super helpful, and something, if you do have that editor role, right? That they're like, well, I need help. I was just assigned to work on this WordPress thing and I'm not really sure what to do. That I do think that there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah,
In
just so,
providing
for
those things.
example,
Mm-hmm.
like if you had a certain role which didn't have permission
Yep.
to add a user, as an example, there it is on the screen. If the user role that you had didn't have that permission, that would be kind of interesting. Just you would need to contact.
Contact your
Yeah,
administrator.
yeah, right, and then come back to us and we'll try again. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But okay, that's for 2024, not for 2023. So sorry, carry on. Apologies.
No, you're okay. Like I mentioned before, there's the demo itself. It's not very large. I mean, I can sit here and we can ask it a million questions, over again. But I do think that our roadmap for 2024 has some really exciting things for WonderHelp. I mean, the thing that you see here is like, okay, click on users. Like, why can't we just say click here, right? Like,
Oh,
and put
that
the
would be
link
better,
here,
wouldn't it? Yeah.
or why can't we just say which role do you want to add? They could just do like let me do it for you. Who are you trying to add? What permission you want to give them? Done. Email sent. Or having it right here with or follow these steps. Right, I can do that for you. You can follow these steps.
Yeah,
But
that's a neat idea. Yeah.
having it be a lot more dynamic, a lot more interactive, I think. Right, and the goal is not to replace. I think the one thing to call out is it's not to replace like a customer support person, right? Like the goal is not to have it be like, this is where, you chat in with us for help, right? You kind of see those like, when you go to websites and it's like, contact us. And then you have the automatic responses that are pre-fed and pre-filled. And that's kind of those, we were talking at the beginning, those human curated responses where you go, if they ask this, if they click this, then here's their answer, or here's their answer. You kind of have
Yeah.
this tree diagram.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
goal
that
is
would be
really just to
neat.
be
The
the
idea.
real-time help.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a really neat idea. But also, if you're offering something where there's a definite solution, like really, you want to be able to click on add new user in point 6
Right.
immediately, so that you can actually do that. But obviously, this is where we're at. This is what AI can do at the moment. So we'll go with that. Okay, right.
Right. Yeah. So, and I just think that the 2024, there's a lot of exciting things. And I think just the future of AI in general, right? Like with all the advancements, all the fun tools, like I've played with so many AI tools. It gets pretty fun, is that I think that we'll be able to leverage a lot that we've learned so far this year and be able to really extend and amp up this tool to be a really, really good resource.
Yeah. Okay, should we try another one and see where we get,
Sure.
or if you've got something that you wanted to go through that.
Let's see. What should we ask? How do I add a store?
Oh, okay. Whoa, that was quick.
Yep,
So that
so
was a
this is
cached one, right? That
one's a
was
cached one, right?
super quick. That was quicker than you could, than you could blink
Yeah,
even.
it's instant, and that's kind of the nice thing about being able to store those responses. The ones that have been asked before is that they just get faster and faster, and the more that people use it, the more it's generating. The more our database of what we have stored, and the faster it's going to be.
Oh, it's interesting as well because it's I guess given what you're offering at Bluehost, it's opinionated, isn't it? So the answer is go and find WooCommerce, install that, because WooCommerce is the platform of choice for Bluehost to get a store up and running with WonderCart and what have you. There's obviously other options out there. There's
Right.
North Commerce and there's a bunch of other things, but this is tied into, well, it's obviously an answer that you've had before, but it's helping people get through the hoops for the solution that you can provide, which I guess makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
And
One
one thing that we also have in kind of coming up is that you see I already have WooCommerce, right? And
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
so again, it's a very generalized things. And so the other thing that we'll see in the future is it will have more awareness of users kind of actions and where they are. And, if they have WooCommerce already installed, then it's kind of like, what do you mean? How do I add a store?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like because what does that really mean? Is that mean that like maybe they don't have their /shop page from WooCommerce? How do they do that? Or how do they set it as their homepage? I think that the responses could mean so many things.
Yeah. And also, I guess if they've already got it installed, you would just want to point them in the direction, oh, you're having trouble setting up your store. We could see that you've installed WooCommerce already. Here's some other answers or possible questions that you might want to ask, because we can see that you've got that already. Yeah, in your case, you've got WooCommerce, Yith, and a bunch of other things like a form plugin already installed. And I guess modifying those answers to cater to where you're at would be kind of useful. Okay, thank you. That's a good one. Any more?
I mean, sure, we can. This one cracked me up as let's see.
Oh,
what one
good.
did he?
Does
I mean,
have
the response isn't, but when I was validating some of the responses, I go through and look at it, and I think it was, let me copy it from over here. Hang on.
I want to know if it can go off piste. You can just ask it anything.
So this one was Mike searching for something very specific as an exact match. So it says Mike Hansen was searching for something very specific as an exact match.
That's such a weird query. Let's see what this gives us. Follow these steps. So to search for something very specific as an exact match of WordPress, you follow these. Yeah.
All right. So in double quotes, like exact match, click enter. And
so you really can go into the weeds, but does it confine itself to WordPress? So I don't know, like if you, for example, tried to break out of the there you go. Yeah. You can ask my mother.
It might say, I don't have an answer for this.
No, I currently do. Yeah. Quite right. You shouldn't know that. But that kind of thing, right? So it to be honest with you, I prefer that than it just giving me some waffle about nothing in particular. I like the fact that it's confined, and if it doesn't know, it says I don't know, rather than making something up or just going out onto the internet and trying to feed information in from a larger language model.
Right, because that can get pretty wild pretty quickly.
Yeah, but also it's just, it's not really that helpful, depending on where I am in the interface. So let's say, for example, that I'm in the plugin screen.
Sure.
Does it have any intuition around that at the moment? So if I now launch WonderHelp, does it know that, okay, I'm on that screen, so it might miss out, say, how do I install a plugin? Would it know that I'm already there and give me, or does it just regurgitate the same thing each time?
So it doesn't it's not currently aware of that.
Okay, right.
So the other thing and that's a good question. The other thing that we're able to see is where customers are asking the questions from as well. Like, so we can see that after they ask the question, like, this is what they asked. Here's where they were. here's if they thought it was helpful or not helpful. You know, we can kind
Yeah.
of see that information. And we're using some of those to be able to help us train the model further, right? Like, so as it's in its kind of infant early stages, is that we're able to see that data. And I think that helps us to be able to put additional parameters, put additional features, put additional things like that in there. Awareness of, like I was saying before, of what they had installed, what their actions are. And that's one of those things is, where are they? Because if I'm already on the plugins tab, then why am I being told to go to that tab, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you're here, right? We can just omit that those parts of the steps.
Over time, it gets better. Yeah, I'm sure. Cami, I should add, is a very important person in the WordPress space, because Cami appeared in State of the Word, the address that Matt Mullenweg gave yesterday.
Yeah.
She was there. She was on the screen. I
Hi,
saw you,
Cami.
Cami. Saw you lurking there with your t-shirt on. Your 20 WordPress's 20 t-shirt. Hi, Cami. She said, ask it, should I use a page builder? Okay. Do you know Cami, Jocelyn?
I've not met Cami in person, but her name is very familiar to me.
She's very important, as I said. She's state the word. Should I use a page builder? Let's see what we get. She says it's so funny. It was funny. It was great to see your face on the screen right there. Should I use a page builder? Page builders can be useful for creating and designing your website. Okay, that's interesting as well. So it's not just here's an instruction. There's just some general kind of pros in a way.
Although that cracks me up. It says follow these steps.
Oh, it does say follow these steps. I hadn't noticed that.
I think
just
that's
straight
just
in on
built
number
in.
one.
Yep.
Yeah. They provide drag and drop interface. So it's just giving you some tips there. So again, it's kind of interesting. If you have complex requirements, yeah, you need to follow these steps. But otherwise, that's actually quite useful. Try how do I create a contact form? I bet you get that all the time. Let's see where that goes. Cami approves. She says it's a good answer. So you can now add that to your website as endorsed by Cami McNamara.
Yay.
Yeah. How do I create a contact form? In the WordPress admin, go to plugins, add new contact form 7 or WP forms. That's interesting as well, because it is WP forms. Is that under the Bluehost umbrella? I don't know if no, that's not one of your. No, that's an Awesome Motive one, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's making a suggestion nevertheless. Mm-hmm. Install and activate. Once activated, yeah, blah 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 blah. Copy the shortcut. Yeah, great.
Yep. But the other thing, again, for awareness, I have WP forms installed, and so
I did see that. Yeah.
So again, is that like, okay, we should be aware of that and be able to say, oh, looks like you have WP forms.
Yeah.
And
okay, so use yeah.
And the tricky part, though, is like, how many plugins are on .org? Like, we can't do that for, you know, it would take so long to have the steps for every single individual plugin. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity. I know that a lot of plugins have their own documentation, you know, the help drop down tab at the top of some of those plugins. I think that there's definitely opportunity for integrations and extending into some of those areas.
For your FYI, you've got 2 suggestions beneath which appear to answer the same question. Look at that. It says, how do I add a contact form? And then directly underneath that, how do I add a contact form? So maybe it's offering us multiple routes to offering a contact. Do you see right at the bottom of the exactly. Yep. So it'd be interesting to see where they ended up and if they gave you the exact same.
My guess is it's the same.
Probably the same one.
Like, it's probably looking. I mean, it looks like if you look at 6 and 7.
Oh, slightly different.
Here. It's like by following the, create a new contact form.
A slight variation on the language. The thing about these AIs is they're only going to get better. Then they're never going to get worse. And so what we're seeing today is literally the beginning of how it'll go. I think we've got a good intuition of how this is. Unless you've got.
I really love that Cami asked about that page builder question, because that was a really great a really great response, and I was able to get a screenshot so I can send to the developers that we should remove that follow these steps.
Oh, great! Oh, you're double timing. You're good. Yeah. You can work at 2 jobs at the same time. I think that's probably all that we need to do, unless there's some like hidden magic that we haven't yet seen that you want to uncover, like a settings panel for this. I guess there isn't. It's just on, right? You just activate and you're away to the races. Yeah,
activate and it's there, and kind of always available. You know what I was saying before? There's this help that we have. I think that there's from here we're just barely starting to uncover the possibilities. And I'm really excited about where we can take it and where we can go, and the customizations and personalizations that we will be able to provide. And, again, like, let's just do it for them. Let's just add that user. And I think it's going to save these customers so much time and effort, again, especially with all the outdated content that can be out there, or the misunderstanding and learning Elementor when I don't even have it installed for so long. So I'm really very excited about this about this feature.
How do I, if I'm a Bluehost customer, can I disable this? Is it something that I could switch off? Because I have this sort of intuition that there may be some freelancers who just want to consume that work for themselves, if you know what I mean. They want to, like their clients, they might want to turn this off. Is that possible, or is it?
So their clients come to them.
Yeah, so their clients, I mean, it's a legitimate thing to say, isn't it? No, we'll be your support channel, and you're on a retainer, so pay us for that, and we'll do that work. Can you switch it off, or is it always on?
I know that we had discussions of having it here, of having the settings here for the help, but currently it's not in our settings. But if that did come out in the future, that's where it would live, is there.
Okay. Yeah, I have a feature request in that case, and that would be on a switch. So the admin can switch it on a either per user or a per role basis.
Per role.
Yeah, so that all subscribers can see it, but no, I think it'd be subscribers can't see it, but maybe editors can see it, and certainly administrators. So there you go. You got my feature request.
Hey, Chris Miles, if you're listening,
that's right, Chris.
Come on. Can you create a ticket?
There's like 4 days in the year left to make that happen. Jocelyn, I think if that's what we got, that's what we got. Let's knock it on the head there, as we say in the UK. Just a quick last thing, just to say that if you have been watching this and you want to see the others, like I said at the beginning, go to wpbuilds.com/demos/archive and check out the other 3 presentations all about Wondersuite and what it can do for you. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this project and product in the near future. But Jocelyn, I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much. Where can we find you if anybody wants to get in touch?
Yep. So on X, it's Joss Hendrickson. On LinkedIn, Jocelyn Hendrickson. Usually I'm just Jocelyn or Joss, Joce Hendrickson, kind of everywhere.
You get the award for the first person ever to confidently call it X and not say, that thing, that whatever it is, X, Twitter, something, whatever. You've got it.
I did it.
You did it.
I did it. I paused for a second. I'm like, go for it. We know it, X, all the way.
Well, thank you so much. We will see you at some point, maybe at a WordCamp or something. That'd be nice. But Jocelyn,
thank you so much, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you for chatting to us about WonderHelp today. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.